Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of MD Power Hour, starring Giles Tiger Thomas and me, Ron Harris. And this week we have a special treat for you. It is our preview of the 2023 New York Pro, very prestigious show. Going to run down the whole lineup for you. And now, all the way from the UK, please welcome my co-host, Giles Tiger Thomas. What's up, Giles?
Ron, I'm very happy. Do you know why?
Well, you showed me you got a new car. Oh, British passport. You can leave the country now.
I can leave the country. I'm no longer under house arrest because, Ron, I had to cancel Sweden. I had to cancel going and see Metallica and Five Finger Death Punch, even though Five Finger Death Punch didn't actually play because the lead singer had a hernia operation and he had to pull out. But I missed Metallica, mate. I could have been to see them the third time. And I was going to go with some friends. And I tell you what, when you don't have a passport, even though you might not necessarily want to be going anywhere, it's really bad because you can't plan anything, because I'm planning, Romania and trips away and trips for me and Lawrence. So, mate, I mean, that was really stressful getting that. So now I've got it, mate. I can fuel up the private Tiger jet and I can go anywhere I want now, mate. So I'm very, very happy.
Also, congratulations! You recently celebrated your 1 year anniversary of beating your heart attack. Beating cheating death. That was a year ago, May like 14th or something, wasn't
it? 15.
Yeah, I would imagine you probably know the day.
Yeah, funny. Yeah.
So before the New York Pro, I just want to mention the Pittsburgh Pro because that's a huge event every year with guest posing. I'll be honest, I'm never like that. I'm never overly excited to see off-season bodybuilders on stage. I know it's impressive to see how big and full they are, but when you're a conditioned freak, as we are, I don't want to see these guys in the off season. I mean, it's fine in the gym, working out and stuff, but I don't want to see them on stage in trunks with those brutal lights because everybody looked big and full, but nobody was obviously contest conditioned, nor should they be. But who stood out to you as looking really improved because they haven't had much time to improve since Olympia?
Well, I mean, I think as I kind of predicted it was in my own head, it was Samson and Derek Lunsford. I mean, Derek Lunsford obviously looks sensational, but last year he came in with that shock factor because none of us expected that. Nobody expected to see him look the way he did. And to be honest, that was probably one of the top 5 talking points of the entire year. And that was what really created so much hype and probably ticket sales for the Olympia. Because, I mean, the difference was shocking. So he looked every bit as good as he did last year, maybe even a little bit better. Because obviously we're scrutinizing because obviously he's number 2 now. So we know what improvements he needs to make if he wants to step over Hadi. So we were all looking at the chest, we're all looking at the arms, and you know what? His condition, I mean, him and Samson are putting in the work. But I mean, Samson, I think he's been off for 7 weeks now. And what was he, 144 kilo? Because he did a post of him stood on the weighing scales. And I think, to be honest, I think it was really important for Samson to do this because, the thing, like you said, I like guest posings in the off season, but the thing about the Pittsburgh that separates it is because you get more than one and you get them all on stage together. And you know what? I mean, I laugh. We all laugh at the comments and people going, oh, Hunter's looking better than, Samson or whatever, and it's like, obviously, Hunter's on prep and people are at different stages. Some are off gear and some are training hard. And so, because every bodybuilder has a different approach, but to see them next to each other on stage is always bloody exciting. And it's fun to speculate. I mean, people say, oh, it's point to speculate. It's like, well, why don't you just take all the fun out of bodybuilding, being a bodybuilding fan? Yeah. But yeah, I was really happy for Samson to do that because, he needed to, he needs to be seen. And, at the end of the day, it's, and thing is with Samson, I mean, that guy, I actually feel bad for him because he's almost this expectation of the rate of improvements he's been making is still kind of expected. And don't forget, I said to Samson now, I says, like when Jay won the Olympia and then he came in not so good at the second year at the Olympia, it's because when you win something big or you become a champ, you don't want to turn down any opportunities that then come from that. And I remember Jay saying, like, he says, I took too many opportunities. I said yes to everything because I wanted to make money whilst my name was at the top. And like Samson's thing is that's what makes it even more impressive. The fact that Samson has been traveling, he's been to Korea, he's been to Italy, and he's been non-stop, and he's still somehow managing to improve. So I think that really says something for him. But I mean, I really do think that Samson, Hadi, and Derek will be the top 3 at the Olympia this year. So it was exciting to see those two. What was your thoughts on what was your thoughts then, Ron? Come on, tell us.
I mean, as you said, some people were in prep and they looked more impressive for that. But I thought everybody looked in good condition for off season. Walker was big and full. And this points out how different stage lighting is. It's brutally unforgiving because you'll see pictures, the update pictures they took in a locker room the day before at their gym. And you're like, wow, they're in really good shape. But then you see them under these blasting lights and you're like, not that they're fat. None of these guys get fat. They still have muscle separation everywhere. But, Walker looked enormous. Rami looked enormous. Derek, Clarita, Hunter. It's just funny when people do try to say who won. They try to place it like it's a contest. Like he won the guest pose. Why not? What the heck? Why not? It's fun. It's good time. But
I mean, I've Rami though. I'll be honest. I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer here, but like Rami, I was kind of expecting him to look. I know it's not important, but at the end of the day, what he did, I'll tell you why I was expecting it. It's because what he did from the Olympia to the Arnold was spectacular. I didn't think he could do that in like 10, 11 weeks. I thought he looked really good at the Arnold, 100% better than he did at the Olympia. So I was kind of expecting him to like look a bit better than he did, but it looks like I don't know. I mean, some guys, like someone like Samson can come off and stay on his diet and training and kind of still maybe look as good, if not better. But some of these guys, maybe when they come off and they're traveling and they're not really training as hard and paying attention to their diet, it can affect some guys more. But also on the morning, my favorite comic artist, Simon Bisley. Yeah, he messaged me. He sent me a voice note and he said, Tiger. He says, I'm in Como. He says, I'm in Italy. He says, I'm in an airport lounge, British Airways. He says, and I'm waiting to go on my next flight. And he says, I just seen a really big guy across the room. And he says, I just couldn't get over the side of his shoulders. He says, and I looked him and he says, and I Googled him and it was Rami. So this must have been the Friday or the Saturday, must have been the day that he was flying. I'm guessing he was flying from the Panatta offices.
Yeah.
Was he sponsored? So I was like, so that's why I messaged you on the group chat and I said, yes. I said, Rami's definitely going to be at Pittsburgh. I said, unless he misses or falls asleep in the lounge and misses the flight. I said, he's definitely going to be there. So, but Simon just Biz, I call him. He couldn't get over. He said, because the last bodybuilder I think he saw in the flesh was Dorian Yates in the 90s. He said, I can't believe it. He said, this guy is a monster. He said, his shoulders were so wide he had to walk. He couldn't walk through the bloody doorway. So I had a little bit of an inside scoop there that Rami was definitely going to make it to Pittsburgh this year. So that was cool.
The only one who didn't make it was Rafael Brandao because he got dengue, some type of fever you get from mosquito bite. He was in the hospital. Before we start, I want to show the new MD cover. It's last year's New York Pro.
Oh, nice.
Blessing Awodibu was last year's champ. Let's go to the Muscle Buzz showing. Got MD Global Muscle Buzz.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first 2 pages.
Nice.
It keeps going and going.
I wonder why. Oh, yay. I wonder why Blessing, sorry to interrupt, but why didn't Blessing do this show? Because I'll be honest, I'm going to put it out there. This lineup for the New York Pro, in one way, it's great to see the new faces because then that, some new face could, like a Miro Maragic, a young guy who's, then he's not going to automatically get bumped out of the top 6 because the six of the top 10 Olympia guys are there. On one hand, it's great that these other kind of new names then have more of a fighting chance to succeed. But mate, why didn't Antoine Vallant? Why didn't Mohamed Mustafa? Why didn't Ian Valliere, Hunter? Why didn't they jump in this show? Blessing. Why didn't he come and dine to Justin Rodriguez? Where are the big names for this show? I mean, I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but oh well. Yeah. Why didn't they do? Why is New York
Pro? Leave all your hateful comments below, guys, right there.
Yeah, New York Pro has always been regarded as a high-profile show, maybe the 3rd biggest. So why aren't they going for the prestige of winning this show and getting that ring? Why?
I honestly think a lot of them have this plan. So many of them say, I want to do a later show because they don't want to prep twice in 1 year and they all want to do the Olympia at the end of the year. So nobody wants to peak twice. That's one thing. I know in case of like Blessing has work to do on his quads. His quads need to come up. He shouldn't get on stage again until those quads are looking good, really good, bigger, fuller, rounder. I think it's a missed opportunity for some of those name guys that we just said. But again, like when I talked to Beef Stew the other day, he said it's a great opportunity for the new guys like me. Now we're not going to get shuffled off to the side just because we have all these Olympia names and Arnold Classic competitor names up there. So it is a good chance. And, some of these guys are going to really shock us. But I want to get right into it because I think we both have the same favorite to win the open bodybuilding. Tonio Burton, the Predator, man. This guy is looking phenomenal. He didn't he didn't disappoint last year. When he came back at Legion Sports, he won that very handily. Goes to the Olympia. Olympia wasn't as there was like what 1,000 guys in the Open Olympia last year, 1,002. It was it was like 32 guys. So he didn't get the top 15, but man, he's my pick. Round, tiny little joints, condition is looking great. Doesn't have a weak pose. That's my pick. Agree, Tiger?
Yeah, he's really hitting his stride now. I think he's one of these guys that's kind of, I think it's funny because even though he's doing really well, he's still kind of under the radar. For me, he's kind of like an obvious standout, but there's still people not really talking about him as coming in and winning this. And I think if he doesn't win this, it's because he came in really, really off. For me, like I said a couple of years ago, he's he's in the mold of a Dexter Jackson. And also he's managed to kind of improve his physique by keeping the waist nice and small. Because, these guys, when they kind of balloon up, yes, the shoulders get wider. Yes, the muscles get fuller and rounder and stuff, but then the waistline blows out. But he still managed to keep that waistline nice and small. I still think he has work to do in terms of overall conditioning and separation, which for me, unless he addresses that will hold him back by the time he gets to like the Olympia or the Arnold Classic. But I really rate this guy, and I think he's up there. He's almost up there in terms of Samson, in terms of how much he's improved and how fast he's improved. So he's got like an unusual look to his muscle. It looks like artificially full. That's the only, he just like when he poses, obviously after he's trained, he looks, I'm trying to think of an equivalent of a bodybuilder that had that kind of.
Dexter in his prime had that. Dexter was like that. Everything looked like full to bursting.
Yeah. Who else? Branch,
Heath, obviously.
It's
a rare quality. It's a rare quality, that real round, full bursting look. But
he needs to up the separation and stuff. But like I said, he's a work in progress. But he does seem to be progressing bloody fast. So that for me, he's kind of the odds-on favorite to take this one. And the thing is, it'd be a good win for him as well because he has won a couple of pro shows, but he's still not really on our radar of this guy's like a top 10 Olympia guy or a multi-pro show winner that really he needs. This will be a big step up for him if he wins this. And also he gets a cool ring.
Yeah, exactly. People don't know that. This is the only show that I know that you get a ring as well as a check.
Emilio doing it now.
Oh, does Emilio give one out too? Yeah, so Beef Stew is the talk of the town, man. This young guy, Stuart Sutherland, but Beef Stew, I love just calling him Beef Stew. It's a great nickname.
Yeah.
It's kind of an apples and oranges case between him and Tonio. It's not that pretty round bubbly look with the tiny joints. It's more along the lines of a Branch Warren, just rugged, thick, dense muscle, brainy look to him. You can tell he's very, very strong. He's 5'8". He's going to come in a little over 250 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 26 years old. And last year he did Tampa, and I didn't realize, I hadn't followed the USA. I didn't even realize he just won. He won the Tampa. I'm sorry, he didn't win the Tampa. He jumped in. It was a week after, just like Derek Lunsford did, but Derek won. But he got 7th place. He beat Tim Budesheim. He beat Sung Cho Lee, Roman Fritz, Morgan Ast, Dorian Haywood. He beat some decent guys last year, taking 7th. And he had COVID, and he hadn't even planned. He caught COVID at the USA. Hadn't planned on doing the Tampa Pro, so this is with a full 9 months since then to improve. He's put more size on. Condition looks great. Yeah, that's my dark horse. I don't know if he can beat Tonio, but he's gonna be a first call out guy unless something goes drastically wrong in the next couple of days.
I'll be honest, I haven't watched the John Livery interview yet. I haven't watched any of those yet, but I have been keeping an eye. In fact, I brought him up on Hot News in Globe Muscle months and months and months ago, purely just because he caught my eye. And I haven't done a lot of research on him. I have watched obviously now his updates since he's been on this prep, because he looks, he's got that front lat spread. He's got that kind of 3D front lat spread like Dorian did. If you look at his lats, it's not just like, it looks like it's bulging through the bloody, it's coming out the front of his arms. He's got real level density. And how old is he? 26?
26. And there's videos of him deadlifting like 700 or 800 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a very strong kid.
I think potentially what he does, depending on what he does this weekend, I think we're looking at like the sort of the 2023 version of Nick Walker, where he in his pro year, because I remember he hit the ground running. So if he does well at this show, he's going to be probably one of the biggest talking points of the year. I kind of think he already is. I mean, everyone's raving about him, and I'm usually first to the party when to get these new guys, but I'm actually last because everyone just swooped on him. Yeah. I mean, MD's done two or three interviews with him with separate, separate.
John Livia had him on Muscle Talk. John Livia interviewed him for his own channel, and I interviewed him for Ron Line it was on a few days ago. So he's the buzz. People are talking about him. I think the nickname helps. That crazy hair, got the big bushy kind of afro kind of hair. I don't know if he's going to tie that up or something, or let it go like that. I don't know. I'm curious.
Tiger cut.
Yeah. Well, he says he hasn't had a haircut since last June or July. So that explains it.
Well, he's obviously growing everywhere because everything's bloody growing on that guy. I mean, he's someone that I'm going to be really. I think I'm probably most excited to see him on stage this week because. He's kind of caught my eye, and obviously he's caught everybody else's eye but from what I can gather, he's got a really good personality, which I think he's always welcome. And he seems a cool guy. And I think we can always use as many as we can of those types of guys in the industry. So, I mean, he could win this. From what I'm seeing in the picture, because he looks good from every angle. I was thinking I saw the picture from the front. I was thinking, okay, good side. But back, he's very complete. Like if you look at him from his bloody traps to his ankles, I mean, he's complete. So if he really nails the conditioning, you're going to have a star is born this weekend. So, but like I said, that's a real shock. I didn't realize he competed last year. So it shows you just sometimes how much guys can go under the radar. It's not like he got last place in, some show in the middle of nowhere. He actually got 7th in a pretty high profile show, but I've got no recollection of him. So
he was there, and I barely remember him. I remember is like, who the hell's that? Because it said USA on the score sheet. He was from America. I'm like, and he looked young. I'm like, why don't I know who this kid is? But now I know we all know who he is now. And I think
have you seen the pictures? Obviously, you were there. Do you got any memory? How did he look last year?
He looked good. Condition was a little off. He said he made a couple of mistakes with his sodium and this and that. And he had COVID. He was sick on stage. Okay. So, he didn't look as good as he had the week before in the USA, but he looks much, much better now.
How much heavier is he now then? Do you know? How much do you think?
It's only about...
Because if he didn't look like that last year, I would have noticed him. I would have remembered him. And I think you would have. But he must have done like a 92, 93 Dorian to do what he's done this year.
I think he said it was like 6 or 7 pounds of stage weight.
More than that. It's more than that.
Yeah, well, it looks more.
Come together, isn't it? It's come together. So I hope that it translates.
Okay, so we have going from the youngster to a seasoned veteran. He's doing the Masters Olympia, but Max Charles is doing the New York Pro for the 7th time. 7th time he's done this show. He's been 3rd, 5th, 7th, 4th, 3rd, 4th. Man, he really wants to win this show, Max. So he's got his work cut out for him. He's very, very good, very, very consistent. Massive shoulders, arms, great taper, great shots. Side shots are incredible. He's going to have a little trouble with these young kids, the new guys, but Max is going to be up in the mix for sure.
Was it 2021 when Ian Valliere won that Milos thinks he should have won it?
I think that was Chicago. I don't think it was New York.
No. It was New York Pro. It was definitely New York Pro because I remember using the high quality, the 1080 pose down footage in Global, and I think he got 5th, and I think a lot of us felt he should have been at least top 3. And Milos said he should have won it. He should have won it. I'm sure. Because, my point is, 2 years ago he was very, very close to winning this.
Well, I thought it was Tampa because I think the New York Pro was in Tampa that year. That's where I'm getting mixed up. But yeah, he did. He probably could have done a little better. I think Milos got into a little spirited conversation debate with one of the judges who will not be named. I don't want to stir that pot up again. But Max, very good.
Yeah, but with Max, I'm glad because obviously the Masters Olympia is kind of giving these guys a new lease of life. So maybe knowing that he's kind of got that at the end of it, has given him a bit of a boost, and knowing he's more of him with a fighting chance, because he's one of these guys, he's done this, isn't he? He kind of, just when you kind of write him off, he comes back and he looks incredible at a show. And even if he doesn't, like when he took 8th in 2020 at the Arnold Classic, yes, he didn't make top 6, but you know, he's certainly stuck in my mind because he looks absolutely incredible. Like I said, all he needs to do, he just needs to look good, you know. I just hope, because I mean, the thing is, if he does really, really well in this show, it's really going to add a little bit of hype for, you know, Clay Haar and Josh Nartowicz and Kamal for the Masters Olympia in August. So I just hope he peaks really well for this. But I mean, Max, I mean, what can you say about Max? He's super consistent. He's been around for years, and he's always going to be a threat if he looks, you know, if he hasn't completely missed the mark.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't see him in the open much longer. He's been doing it for a very long time. He's got to be in his mid-40s by now. So, you know, secretly, I hope. I don't know if he's going to beat these guys, but I'd be happy for him if he won this show, because that's clearly 7 times he's really dying to win the New York Pro.
We had a lot of hype for the Masters Olympia if he won this.
100%. Let's turn to a couple Canadians. Joe Seaman, very, very consistent guy. I can't recall the last time he competed.
Last year.
Was it last year? See, I know you would remember. I remember him. I was in Toronto. He had just turned pro the day before, and he jumped into the pro show. I think he was like 4th. Was it 3rd? Yeah, he did very, very well.
Phenomenal condition. His back shots.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys you don't hear a lot of hype about him, but very, very deadly physique, structure, size, condition, everything's there. And I think he's just slowly been working in silence, grinding away and improving. So here's to see Joe Seaman.
I saw an update the other day, and he put a picture of him from his last prep, and he's made some serious improvements. I really rate him. In fact, I think some of the shows he's had a bit of a harsh placing. I think the Arnold UK, I was thinking he deserved a couple of places higher there, because he's very complete. I know he hasn't got the kind of the smallest waist, but he's sometimes the guys like remember Mohammed Benazizi, he had a wide waist, but then he had the back with the lats that literally came inserted into the top of their bloody hips, you know, so it kind of offsets a little bit. But I really like this guy. I think I love his back shots. He's got a lot of density. His chest is ridiculous. His legs are good. I mean, he's yet to really duplicate that or supersede that conditioning when he turned pro, and then he got 4th at the Toronto. I mean, looked absolutely phenomenal there. So I just hope he really, really nails it. I don't think he's working with Patrick Tour anymore. I think he's working with somebody else now. So I hope that continues, that goes well for him, and then he really nails his condition, because there's a guy that, you know, might get a really good look in here. I think he will be a top 5, top 6 guy. But be interesting to see how these improvements, you know, really translate to the stage. Because if he does, then, you know, he could absolutely be a factor in this, and could potentially be a top 3 or even win it.
And the other Canadian, well, there's more than one Canadian, but another younger Canadian guy, Robin Strand, similar situation. I saw him in Toronto one of the years I went to cover it for MD. Same thing. He had just won his pro card the day before. They have a pro qualifier, and then they're allowed to do the pro show the next day, which I think that's a really cool thing. I think a lot more shows should do that. And he did very well. I believe he was top 5, maybe he was 6th. But he's made a lot of improvements. I sat next to him in the press pit at either the Arnold or the Olympia. So that was fairly recently, and he was off season, huge, you know, lot of fat and water, than a lot more than what we see now. But I've been looking at his recent updates, and his physique is much, much better than I remember. He's been working very, very hard, and he's someone who definitely puts on the bulk in the off season. He gets very, very big, but it just goes to show you, everyone's got a different process, because he's looking great now, so it didn't matter. But looking forward to seeing him. He's a very smart young guy.
It works for some guys, doesn't it? That kind of approach. And other guys, you know, they'll look like me in the off season, and they just kind of grow into a show and get more muscular and stuff like that. But Robin Strand, I'll be honest, I haven't checked his updates. He's the one I'm not kind of familiar on, but I've heard you mention him a few times. Have you had him on online?
You know, I don't think I have. Maybe that's a good idea.
Get him on.
Good idea. I'll do
and
that.
If he does really well, I'll be sat with my phone messaging him to get him on Global. So I'll try and beat you to it, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not that familiar with this guy, but yeah, I'll do a bit of research after we've done this and have a look at him, because he's a name that does keep popping up, and I've heard you mention him favorably several times.
So I want to mention Boston's. Well, he's actually New Hampshire, but I'm gonna cheat and say that's Massachusetts. Nate Spear, nasty Nate Spear. He was in the Boston Pro last year. That was his debut. Gets in incredible condition. He's a national champion, and he's taken a full year to put size on the area. There's a Ron line with him. I don't know if it's going to come out before or after this comes out, but very soft-spoken, hardworking guy. I wish him the best. He's one of those guys who doesn't hype himself up much, so he has to let his physique do the talking.
Well, that's where we come in with Ron Line and Global Muscle, mate.
Yeah.
So I had Nate on Global as well last year. Yeah, I like him. I like his physique. He's very complete. I like his frontal bicep. And I saw an update. It's funny because he's one of these guys that I saw the updates up to about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I was like, not really seeing many improvements there, mate. And I was thinking he looks behind, and then all of a sudden, boom, he just absolutely transformed and looked absolutely sensational. He really must have put his foot to the bloody pedal, and I was actually quite impressed. He looks really good. So obviously nice to see a Boston guy up there as well, because that's where you're from, and it'd be nice to see him do well. Cool guy.
Czech Republic Slavoj Bednar, who I got to meet last year at the Indy Pro when Hector and I went to a gym before the show. He was doing a little photo video shoot there. Very nice guy, very balanced physique. He should get a good look, Slavoj.
Well, was he 10th at Brazil, and I thought he was bloody robbed. And I hate that phrase. But there was a guy who had loads of synthol and shit in his arms, and I was like, how the hell did he beat Slavoj? Because Slavoj is pretty complete, I just I've seen him compete in the UK and Europe a few times. I've done live stream commentary and shows that he's been doing, and he's pretty good. He's a big dude, man.
We got Brent Swanson.
Yeah,
Brent, I think he's married to, is she Physique now? Autumn Swanson.
Yep.
I think he said this is his last show or his last season. I think it's his last season because you've had him on. Did he say he told you, because he was just on Global recently?
No, he said I think he kind of said it might be. I treat it like it's going to be, so I give it my all. But I think he's going to give it another 2 or 3 years. And also, back to Autumn, she might be doing the Toronto this year. She's making a comeback.
Okay, well,
she's on the Arnold Classic, and she's been top 5 in Olympia.
Yeah, she did very well in figure before she moved on to physique.
That's right. Yeah.
So Brent, big dude, gets into great condition. Wasn't gifted with the prettiest shape, but super wide, huge, massive shoulders, back. It's the gnarly conditions, so vascular, veiny everywhere. Prepped by the great Chad Nichols. He told the whole story on Global where he's from the same little town as Chad and Kim, and that's how he ended up being coached by him. But wish Brent the best.
Well, he posted because he did one show last year. He did Indy Pro last year and took 5th in his pro debut.
Yeah,
and he was really, really happy with that, because as you know, that was a very, very, very good show, well contested, lots of competitors. So, he posted a picture about 2 weeks ago. It was that one where he's stretching his arms out, and his inner chest looks as thick as his outer chest. And I just, me, to me, it just like if you squint, it's like kind of like Branch Warren, nasty, full, thick, dense, shredded muscle, and also being a type 1 diabetic, what he has to go through. Because he has one of these insulin pumps. And just to sort of function daily as a human being, and he's prepping, and he's bringing this kind of condition. I'll tell you what. And when I spoke to him, because I'd never really spoke to him before, just on message when I was in hospital last year, and we had a little bit back and forth, because obviously diabetic and everything, shared a bit of information. But my God, he's an impressive athlete, and I really enjoyed getting to know him on that episode. Actually, it was really, because he's a school teacher, he's a PE teacher, and he does coaching, and he's one of these guys like when you see Jay Cutler's routine, get up at 4:30, 4:45, do this to their days are so regimented. He's a really hard-working guy, but I'm obviously, because he's been on Global, I'm always going to be rooting for those guys as extra. But what a cool guy! I really, really enjoyed. It was a really nice experience having him on, and I'm rooting for him.
And the next guy, I don't know much about him, but you just had him on Global Muscle. Eric Wood. Tell me what you learned about Eric Wood.
Not a lot, actually. He was very quiet. But the reason I got him on is because Patrick too was posting all these updates, and I was just like, okay, this guy, and he said pro debut in so many weeks, and then he posted which show it was going to be, and I was like, New York Pro. So I messaged Patrick, and Patrick gave me his number straight away, and I was like, this guy is good. I really like this guy's structure. I'm just very, like I said, he's one of these guys that by himself looks absolutely sensational. And it's funny because on this week's Global, no spoilers, it's funny, a few weeks ago, because he was doing like his front shots in MI40, trains at MI40, moved to Florida from Ohio, because he said, Ohio is the coldest place on earth. And he, like, from the front, I was like, wow, nice wide shoulders, small waist, big full chest, condition looks sensational at this far out, side incredible. And then from the back, it was like, ugh. So anyway, I said to Derek when we were on the hot news, I said, yeah, but wait till he turns to the back. I said, his back's not very good. He turned to the back and his back just looked incredible. I was like, again, one of these guys like Nate Spear that starts posing and you just think, well, 2 weeks ago, you didn't look like that, and you must have really, everything just clicked into gear, and he's really nice wide lats, very good separation. He's one of these guys who kind of ticks every box that could actually slip through and really, really kind of take a few top places. But I think this guy's going to be first call out. I really rate him. He's about, what did he say? He's like 240-ish. He's 5'8" or something. So he's carrying a decent amount of size. He's got a nice structure. So he's kind of got size and aesthetics, and the condition already a week or two ago was already for what I would consider to be good enough to stand on stage. And he's got Patrick in his corner, and Patrick's kind of quietly confident that this guy's going to make a bit of a splash in New York. Definitely.
Last guy in the open we'll talk about is Czech Republic's Josef, Kveton. I don't know if the K is silent, or it's Kveton or Veton, but it's Joseph. It's Kveton. You guys out there in the Czech Republic can help me out in the comments and do it phonetically for me, because I'm clueless. Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with him. What do you remember about him?
Well, he did the Arnold Brazil. Do you remember?
Vaguely.
Oh, you're away in Australia.
I wasn't. I didn't watch. I was on vacation.
No, Ron, he was. In fact, when we were watching the pre-judging, the bit of the live stream, Jen thought he'd won it.
Wow.
Like he was, and that's up against Behruz, Behruz, Amir. Yeah. And I was like, shit, this guy is actually really, really good, because like he's one of these guys again that on the updates on the Instagram look fantastic, but I thought I've seen these guys before and they look good, but they're not actually that big. They just take a really good photo. But he looked big, conditioned, balanced. He had lovely stripy delts, which I was very happy about. I think this is the guy we need to keep an eye on. And thing is, I was in like the Czech Republic doing the EVLS Prague live stream, and normally with the Czech athletes, there's a lot of talk around, because it's not they've had what's the guy with the leg? What's his name? The Polish Czech guy. Anyway, I forgot his name now. Did the Olympia top 10? Been top 10 a couple of times.
For Olympia. Talking about Pavolia Jablonski from years ago.
No, more recent guy. The guy does the straight leg thing and he comes up on stage.
Lucas Lucas.
Yeah. So I was chatting to him, and like at the after party, we're all chatting about we're really, what Czech athletes. And this guy's name didn't come up, and I was quite surprised, because when he came with the Arnold Brazil, like straight away, I was like, shit, this guy's really good. Definitely one to keep an eye on, and I think he's going to turn a few heads, because like it's not just his condition, but like I love seeing the big guys with really good separation and detail, because sometimes now in the open you just don't see it. You just don't see that level of stripiness. So I think he's awesome. So keep an eye out for him as well. I think he might do quite well.
So if we want to talk condition, man, 212 division, we're going to move on to 212 and start off with Karith Baggio. Karith's conditioning is off the charts. He was 7th at the Olympia. He won Texas Pro last year. I think he was second to Keon at another show last year. But Karith is one of those guys, just constantly improving, better and better. But he was like ready, stage ready, as far as I could tell from his updates 3 or 4 weeks ago. He was ready to go. So I can imagine.
No, his legs weren't quite sharp enough.
Oh, okay. Well, see, you're even snobbier than me.
Yeah, but no, Karith, I mean, I'd be very shocked if he doesn't win this. And I had him on Global a few weeks ago, and he's not one of these ones that I think is taken for granted, that because he's been he's 7th at Olympia this year, and he's obviously won pro shows before. He was in Tampa, not Tampa. That was
he won Texas last year. I was there.
And I think Keon won Tampa.
Yeah, he beat, and Keon was not in the condition, but Keon just had a prettier, bubblier. Yeah. Keon's physique is what it is. It's amazing. But Carrot is my favorite for this.
Yeah, and
I'd
I
be
would
very
love to
surprised if
see
he didn't
him.
win.
I'd love to, and I hope he peaks perfectly for the judging and the night show, because at the pre-judging at the Olympia, I was disappointed, but then he kind of pulled it out the bag for the night show and looked exactly how I expected him to look. So I hope that him and
Justin.
Justin Miller, I hope they get that right and they bring him in, because thing is that really deceives me about Keris physique is that he looks like he struggles to make 212, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's actually, what was he? Because I said to him, I said, "Oh yeah, from was it Tampa, Texas, the year before?" I said, "You look so much bigger." I said, "How much heavier were you? Are you close to the limit?" And he says, "No, Giles, I was 10 pounds lighter."
Wow. I want
Yeah,
to say he's about 205 on stage, somewhere
yeah,
around there. He's
about
got a
that.
little room to
So
wiggle
those
around.
guys are really in the best position. And thing is, he doesn't look like he looks like he's a good guy. I mean, that's a good place to be in, the guy that looked like they struggle to make 212. So Kerith, because I think he's been third at the New York Pro, isn't it, before?
I'm pretty sure I didn't check, but
Yeah, yeah.
he's
So
done very, very well.
I mean, thing is, being a sort of, and because I know he doesn't live in New York, but he lives close to New York. Obviously, there's a lot of
Connecticut.
pride from the New York athletes to do this event. I've never seen that before in any pro show. That's like a national event, but it's the locals that kind of see the real prestige and the honor and the sort of benefits of winning a show like this.
A lot of the Northeast pros call the New York Pro. They say it's our Olympia,
Yeah,
especially the New York, New Jersey guys. I remember like Victor and a few of those guys used to say that. De La Rosa, this is our
morale,
Olympia. Yeah,
morale.
Morel. I mean, and that's a very prestigious title for them to have. Take
Yep,
back to their gym, and especially if they're from New York, they
yep.
feel like that's their turf. They don't want to see somebody coming from some crazy other country and winning. How dare they?
Do
So
you think they get free training at Steve's if they win his show?
they might get free training anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure about that. I mean, why not? The defending champion of the New York Pro 212, Noel Adame, formerly from Mexico, now living in Texas, he's coming back for this. He's one of those little, shouldn't say little. I'm not the tallest guy either, but just a fire plug. He's just stacked with muscle. I remember those legs always amaze me. And condition, I've seen him criticized for condition times when I thought he was actually right on.
Really?
So yeah, or close to it. Some would say he was off. So, sometimes we see different things, different people, but
But he's
Noel's
also
very consistent, I think.
I like his chest. I like his chest. I like his, he's got some unusual back shots. He could still do with a little bit more back, but because he's so conditioned, your eyes are drawn to his hamstrings and his calves and his glutes and his delts, and he's rock hard. This guy, I really, really, I think Keris got to have a fight on his hands. Actually, I think that's gonna be interesting battle, because I don't think I've ever actually seen Nola Dam off. I'm trying to think. We've seen Kerith off a couple of times, but Kerith is kind of really hitting his stride now. So it'd be interesting to see if, and I don't know whether Noel is one of those guys that if he struggles to make the weight, he's gonna. Do you know what I mean? He's not necessarily going to be potentially so much better. Whereas Kerith, if he's got a few pounds to play with. So I think it's going to be interesting seeing these two go head to head.
We can't leave out the guy who was runner-up to Noel last year, New York Pro. Milo Sarshev is now working with him. Sung Yop Jang from Korea, second place. And what is he called on Instagram? He's got a funny name.
Mass two
Oh,
twelve, isn't it?
Mass 212. I mean, he's
Yeah.
massive. He's a thick dude. Yeah, he's looking good. And I don't know, is Milos coaching him or he was just training him that day?
They're definitely training, so I think he's coaching him. But yeah, I think Milos has been working with him for a while, and Milos is really. You can always tell what Milos thinks about their chances when he really posts a lot
Yeah.
about that particular athlete. You can tell that he's really got an eye on this guy. And the thing is with sorry, what's his name? I always know him as Mass 212.
Sung Yup.
Yeah, he was one of these guys that kind of had everything, but like some of these short Korean guys and these Chinese guys, sometimes they've got amazing physique, but the condition is really really lacking. But I think I've got a funny feeling with Milos posting. I think he knows that this guy is going to nail it this time. But because he came bloody close last year, and I was raving about him. My God, probably 2 years ago at least on Hot News, because he just kept popping up on my feed, and I was like. I just didn't know who he was. And I was like, well, I don't know what this guy's doing. I'm assuming he's a 212. And then he started competing in the pros. And he's really, really delivered. But I've got a feeling he could cause an upset in this show, because he's very, very complete. He's very thick. And if the conditions right, which Milos, and Milos is on him and he's with him, that Milos isn't going to take any chances with this guy. He's going to bring him in bang on.
So that should be a good three-man battle. Other couple guys are going to look good. Peter Costella, he's from New York City. He's definitely one of the taller guys in the division, and I still think he could use a little more legs. But I was so impressed with just the overall structure and shape. He's got shoulders out to here, some
Yeah.
of the widest shoulders I've ever seen. I want to say he's about 5'8". He looks
Really?
fairly tall. Yeah, I guess I'm not even 5'8" anymore, and I believe he was taller than me. But he holds it very well. Very small waist, wide lats, wide shoulders. Condition was really good. Only thing I recall is I wanted to see a little more, you know me, thigh sweep, quad sweep. I want everyone, especially when people have those crazy wide shoulders, it just makes that X so much cooler. But he's very good. I do expect him to be in the first call out.
But if you put more quad sweep on him, he's probably going to push you over 212, isn't it? So that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
concern he's got. But I really rate this guy. I remember he wasn't kind of on anyone's radar a couple of years ago, and he made some top fives, didn't he? Got some really good call outs. And he's almost one of these guys. If you saw him at the weigh-in or the competitors meeting, if you saw him sat in a chair, you just assume he was open because he's so freaking wide.
Right.
But I like those guys with the freakishly wide clavicles, and then they really go for it on their shoulders to get them as wide as possible. Tiny little waist. He's got a freaky structure, and I tell you what, he's got. And the thing is, obviously, he struggles to make 212 because his conditioning is always bang on. So that means he has to really, really struggle to get down and come in really as dry as he can to just squeak under the 212. Because if he's 5'8", then because he does hold a decent amount of size, he's obviously one of these guys that, because you never see guys close to the limit that really mess up their conditioning because they have to really fight to get their body weight down, which gets them shredded.
Well, now at the show, I'm gonna have to stand next to him and see, who's taller. I do think he's taller than me, but I could be wrong. Maybe he just looks taller. Maybe everybody looks tall to me. Jason Joseph from New Jersey doing the show. I remember I've seen Jason a few times. Very, very pretty shape to him. Round, sleek look to the muscles, small joints. Um, hasn't done that well lately that I can recall, but I do remember seeing him and being impressed with him in the past.
Yeah, beautiful shape. Like I said, I'm not. I haven't really checked his updates, so I can't really comment on how he's looking now. But he's a very balanced, very, very nicely put together physique. He'll do well.
I want to give shout outs to a couple guys. Nate Tello, he's the owner of Gym Hub Boston. This will be his pro debut. He's Jose Raymond's training partner, best friend. They do a podcast on Jose's channel, the Boston Mass. Great gym. That's where all the pros come. Cutler trains there whenever he's in town. Nate, he's 42 years old, and this is his pro debut. And not a massive guy, but very, very well put together, not missing anything. And Jose is going to make sure he's in shape. And also, let's give a little shout out to Mark Lobliner, CEO of several companies, father of 3 kids. He coaches all their sports teams and strength training, sleeps like 10 seconds a night, something like that, or 20. Very, very busy guy. But if you look at his updates, Mark, not genetically blessed like some of these guys, but condition is, whew, he's like skinless right now.
But I will be suing him for copyright.
It's Tiger Fitness, yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, well, it could be an international court
Mark.
battle.
You crossed the line, man.
Yeah, you can't. Well,
I
you
can
should
talk. This is not on, mate. I'm sorry.
you
I'm
should have
not.
started your own YouTube channel. You missed the boat on that.
Tiger and Tiger. Yeah, the two tigers,
It's
like the
called,
two bunnies. But he's
so
yeah. I'm not rooting against you, mate. But I'll let this one pass. But I hope you do well. But you need to just watch that.
classic physique, all the way from some place called the United Kingdom, wherever that is. Michael Daboul just won Pittsburgh last weekend. He was 10th at the Olympia. I remember the Olympia being very, very impressed with his condition. I thought he was flat at the Olympia. Could have been fuller. He looks like one of the taller guys for his. It's different. It's not the same as 212, but not as massive as some guys. But man, he's. Oh wait a minute, is Michael from UK? Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Why did I think he was from France? Is
No.
Daboul?
He's well, Daboul probably sounds a bit. Does that sound French?
Yeah, it does. I think.
Well, I just had him on Global this week. He's coming out. Well, by the time you watch this, it'll be out. So I managed to get him because he's obviously staying over there to do the New York Pro. He said it's the same guys from all the guys he beat in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
So, and he said that because if you look at he posted a picture of him in Pittsburgh compared to at Olympia, it looks like a totally different guy because a few weeks out, he looked like with him and Patrick Tour, they were going to struggle. I'm not saying struggle to make condition, but I actually said to him, I said, no, look, you're going to struggle to make double condition because his conditioning is so superior. I said, this is the problem. Remember when Jose
Sure.
won the New York, when he won
Yeah.
the New York Pro and he just looked insane? You're
Yes.
kind of always disappointed after that because they peaked so. It was that once in a lifetime kind of conditioning. But Michael de Bull nails it like that every single time. I mean, his conditioning is like worthy of real respect because I just I love the conditioning. But yeah, he came and he, because he came in kind of late. I think it enabled him to come in with a slightly fuller look and with still probably the best condition on the stage. But the Arnold UK I think was his best. There's a front relax. I put it in hot news when he comes on with one hand on the hip, and like I showed Derek, and Derek was like, "Whoa!" And I said, "See what I mean?" I said, "That is the Bull condition." I said, it's a double-edged sword because he set the bar so high for himself.
Yep.
If he just comes in with probably still the best condition on stage. I says people are still going to be like, no, he looks off compared to how he looked last year, So he's kind of made a rod for his own back with this one. But I think he will win. He will win this. He's won the Arnold UK twice. He's won the Pittsburgh Pro. I forget what other show he won. He won a show in Dubai, and I said to him, I said, look, mate, I said you didn't just make top. Because I asked him to reel off his competitions, and he says top 10 in Olympia. I said, yeah, but that wasn't top 10 in any Olympia. That was top 10 in Olympia of the biggest category probably there's ever been on a pro league stage. 59 guys. I said, and they were all on. I said, so that's really like the equivalent of making top 5 in any other Olympia.
Yeah. So last year's runner-up to Neil Curry was Germany's Alexander Westermeyer. He's back for more, and I had never heard of Alexander prior to last season, but very, very pleasing physique, very classic look, and yeah, I mean he should give Michael a run.
Well, he won Pittsburgh last year.
Oh, did he? Okay, that's where.
Yeah, and he beat Neil Curry, and then because Neil was third last year in Pittsburgh, wasn't he? And then a few weeks later, or whatever, a week later, he went to New York, and then Neil Curry won the New York Pro, and then I think Alexander was second or third because him and Camilo. But yeah, he's Alexander really, really good. He's done very, very well. So I mean, he won Pittsburgh last year. He's a pro show winner. I think he's won other pro shows as well. So he's probably gonna be Michael de Bull's main competition.
And Camilo Diaz, who was third place in New York, he's back for more. Yeah. Camilo just did Pittsburgh too, didn't he?
He was an open guy. Then he dropped down, and he was one of the guys that when I saw that, I went, oh no, he's gonna look really, because he was a big guy, Right. And he was one of the guys that actually I was turned around on. I was like, actually, that was probably a really good decision because he did look really good, and he has won quite a few pro shows in classics, so he's probably going to round out the top 3 here.
He's got the mustache like Bumstead, yeah. So there you go. Also, we got Junior Jaworski from Brazil, Zeke Andrews. Is it Andrew or Andrews? Really Andrew. They're both very, very good.
Yeah.
Just briefly want to mention a couple of divisions. Women's physique. Typically, the Olympia champion just waits until the Olympia, but Natalia Coelho, he's just, I don't know how she stays so lean all the time anyway. Maybe prep isn't as devastating for her as it might be for someone else, but she just won Pittsburgh. She's the reigning Olympia champion, and now she's coming back for New York Pro. Didn't she win New York Pro last year too? I think she did.
Can't keep up with her, mate.
I think she did. It was one of the shows I was at last year. Was it Tampa? She won a lot of shows. She won a show in Brazil last year. She's the best in the world right now in women's physique.
But Ron, shouldn't the guys take a bit of a leaf out of her book, don't you think? Because look, we've got like all those guys I mentioned at the start. Not just them, but other top guys that should be, like Andrew Jack. They should be jumping in this show. They should be trying to get that, because it's that win. And like I love the fact that she's willing to just not just go, oh well, I'm Olympia champ. I'm gonna shut it down to the Olympia. It's like I love the fact that she's willing to put it all on the line. Because she could get beat at these shows. Imagine if the Olympic champion comes in and she gets beat by 1 point by some newcomer or something like that. It's not going to be. It's a huge gamble that could really not pay off. So, guys, you need to take a leaf out of Natalia's book and represent and test yourself, and also and do an extra prep and give the fans something. Because this is right now she's putting the guys to shame.
Well, I don't want you to be accused of being an Andrew Jack hater, so let me say this. Okay. I mean, in the case of like Natalia, I think her physique is done. I don't think she needs to add any more size, or people don't say, oh, her back is weak or anything like that. Where Andrew at the Arnold Classic, people were still talking about his posterior chain needs a little bit more work. So he's got work to do. He's got the Olympia as his that's his end goal, winning the Olympia. So he does need off season. But there are guys who are more or less their physiques are done. They don't need to add anything else to it. Those guys should probably compete more. But, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point about Andrew Jack, because some of these guys do actually need to take the time off to improve. But then again, some guys, the more they compete, the more they improve. So who's to say? Because I saw a picture of Andrew Jack today, and he's full on off season. So I thought he was doing another show to try and qualify. So he's obviously, I thought he would do another show like literally just a few weeks after. But he's obviously coming off full off season and then coming back down. So I'm assuming he's going to be doing a late qualifier. Maybe a European show. That'd be cool.
Those late shows are going to be packed. I just know it, right? I can tell right now.
That's the problem. We need to disperse it a bit more, And the thing is, like, look what I mean. That really, Blessing winning the New York Pro last year really raised his profile, because it was like you said, it wasn't when everything was hyping up for the Olympia and it was just all about qualifying. He was obviously at this show to sort of, snag that big win and tick it off the list, because Arnold Classic, the New York Pro, the Olympias, these are the shows that are the kind of the ones you really want, on your resume when you're all said and done, It's the one they put in their bio, whereas the other shows maybe get left off.
Yeah. Well, I apologize in advance for not covering all the divisions, guys. We focus on the ones that we're much more familiar with, the athletes. I will say men's physique's probably looking like Ryan Terry from the UK. He just took second to Corey Morris at Pittsburgh. I don't see Corey Morris on that list. I do see a couple other names, but Ryan Terry, very, very good. Multiple top 5 Olympian. So great chance.
He's been second at Olympia. He's won the Arnold Classic.
There you
go. He's only probably an hour and a half, 2 hours away from. No, about an hour and a half away from me. Would you think there would be? Do you think it's worth me getting up into the studio for a global, or do you think men's physique is not something the global muscle fans would be interested in, viewers would be interested in?
Let's hear from the viewers of this. Tell us below, guys. Do you want Ryan Terry in studio on MD Global Muscle? Yay or nay? You're the guys that watch. You guys and girls out there, you're the ones that watch the videos. We try to give you what you want. So let us know. And of course, in the comments, if you think we're morons and we don't know what the hell we're talking about, we're blind, and you can tell us that too. It's all good. Give us praise, give us insults.
No, it's not.
Well, it's all good for the algorithm.
You can say edit. You can say Ron is, but not me, because I'm very sensitive.
No, you're not. You have thick, tighter skin, thick hide. Yeah. Well, I want to let everyone know I will be at the New York Pro along with Jose Raymond, covering it all day Saturday, and we're going to start Friday night. I'm going to be doing live interviews with the athletes when they're done with the meeting, before the meeting, whenever I grab them. I set up in the hallway, and I want to get some interviews, some guys I definitely missed. I want to get Tonio. I want to get Robin, Joe Seaman. I have a little wish list in my head of all the interviews I want to get. So we'll see that'll be live on YouTube on this channel Friday night, sometime around 6, 7, 8 p.m. in that realm. I'll be doing live interviews, and then all day and night Saturday. Keep it here, guys. We're going to be doing everything live here on YouTube. So that's it, man. Thank you, Giles, for your insights, observations, and opinions, as always. And I'm psyched to be back on the contest scene. It's been a couple months since the Arnold now.
Yeah, so. You've had enough of a break now, Ron. Time to get your ass back to work now, mate. Time to get your giant wellness ass back to work now, mate.
It's getting smaller. My my legs, I've noticed they're finally shrinking.
Really?
They really are, yeah.
It's
okay. I'm not crying about it. I'm not upset about it. But I can't squat heavy anymore. I can't train the way I used to. They're coming down. They're coming down to like mortal size. Hang
on. I'll text you Rami's number. You can get some stem cells, mate.
No, I don't. It's good. I don't care. It's fine. I mean, I put a pair of jeans on a couple weeks ago to go to the Cutler show that I haven't been able to move in for years. Like if I could put them on, but then I could barely move. And I'm like, wow, I could actually bend down in these now. So that told me right there all I need to know.
Oh, how's your head?
Oh, well, I haven't made that public. I injured my head. It's okay. They're all gonna see it New York Pro. I guess I can turn around and show it.
Nasty, mate. Look at that.
Yeah, so that was helping my brother.
You got staples in your head.
I have 6 staples. I was helping my brother move. It was a giant dresser. I was on the bottom of the stairs and lost my grip. I fell and bashed my head on something, and I bled profusely. There was so much blood, but I'm very lucky. If that dresser had landed on me, I don't even know if I'd be alive right now. It was a big, stupid dresser.
Ron, you know what? I mean, I probably moved, I don't know, 12, 15 times. I mean, when I was living up in Newcastle, I think I moved 8 times. I was moving every year just for I'd get bored and I just want to move house. I think I was thinking, I didn't want to clean it. So I just moved to a new, nice, clean one. And I think when I moved down from 2014 from Newcastle to Yorkshire, I had to pay a removal, and it was like 400 and something pounds in cash.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't I do this every single time? Because like Lee Priest ripped his bicep, bloody moving furniture. It's how you injure yourself. And thing is, you're not supposed to be carrying. And bodybuilders, you move something or you tear a bicep, and it's not worth it. Ron, pay the money.
Oh,
Seriously,
well,
just say to
it
them,
wasn't
look,
my move. I was helping my brother, but I'll never help anyone move
I'll
again.
give you a few $100 and just keep me out of it. But please let the professionals do it. Because thing is, things get broken, but the professionals, they know exactly what they're doing, mate. But yeah, your head, man, you've got proper staples in your head.
It sucks because now, like, I don't like people staring at my bald spot, and now they're gonna be staring at the bald spot and the staples. So, oh well, what are you gonna do? Anyway, it'll all be good in the end. So anyway, got to get off to the gym and train these staples. See how that goes.
You're gonna set bloody alarms off at the airport. You're gonna
It'd be
be
funny if they do that with the metal detector. I'll say you need a special tool to take them out. I gotta go back to doctor. Anyway, that's it. Yeah.
And also, Ron, I know I'm a bit more back to myself with Global now, because there's a few weeks, mate, I'll be honest, I was faking it. I was going through a very stressful time, and I really appreciate you guys, because I was faking it for a bit with my enthusiasm. And that, me, I'm Mr. Enthusiasm. But having Nathan on last episode, we went from 2 guests to 3 guests, got 4 guests in this one. I'm kind of back on form now, mate. And we've got Derek up to speed with the producing and stuff, because there was a few, obviously there's a lot to learn in that respect. And I need things to be perfect for Global because it's my baby, So I'm back on form now, mate. And I've got my sort of my fire back. So stressful times, they come and go. So, and I managed to get through it. But like I said, everything's back up. And also any guest requests as well, please let me know, because because Derek keeps nagging me because he's in love with Milos. He thinks Milos is God. So I'm going to try and get like a Q&A with Derek and Milos and put the camera on Derek and, just try and mix it up a bit. But nice. So he's a bit worried that Milos won't want to give away all his secrets,
So anyway, guys, check that out, MD Global Muscle on this channel. We have other great shows. We have the Raw Online Report. We have MD Muscle Talk, Brazilian Beat, No Way Jose, Fac Attack. It just goes on and on. Ask the Giant Killer. There's so many great shows. So check them all out. Put your subscriptions. Subscribe to the channel, put your notifications on, like the video, share the videos, leave some comments below. We appreciate it. This has been our New York Pro preview. Giles Tiger Thomas and Ron Harris, out. Hey, did you like that new podcast? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.